Never rely on other people's skills in the mercy. Don't force people to slow down for you. When it comes to flow, it's okay to wait until you get an opportunity to make your turn. Focus on assessing the gap. At the same time, it's best to trust the capabilities of your vehicle, how it reacts. 100 meters distance should be covered by any driver, both in front, back, and sides. 100 meters planned. It's dynamic environment. Your car's moving, at least 40, 50, 60 kilometers an hour on any test route. Some test routes even high if you go to the Success Licensing Center. A lot of roads around there are 70 kilometers an hour. Things happen really quickly. Look further ahead. It's a T-junction here. I've got to look left and right. I've got to give way to both directions. And this is one of the situations that people get petrified about, but it's really just about giving way. Often people say, I was concerned that I was standing there for a little bit too long, but there was no opportunity. So flow is completely irrelevant if there was no opportunity. I'm going straight over to the far left, check in the mirror, secondary mirror check, and that's pretty much it. Assess the gap and take opportunity if it's a reasonable opportunity. If not, you wait for a better one. Flow is irrelevant if you didn't have opportunity to take the turn. You don't need to stop, but you have to see what's happening within about 100 meters distance. If I'm a first vehicle at the lights, I check right and I check left. I've got to cover about 100 meters right and left, because if someone's trying to beat the traffic lights, if someone's running red lights, I see it every single week. Somebody's running through the red light, not when it's just changed, sometimes even 10 seconds after it's gone red light. Your observation skills should be up to scratch. Here's a perfect example. I'm coming to a roundabout. I'm slowing down as if I'm stopping. I've covered at least about 100 meters that way, and there was no car within that distance of 100 meters. Even if someone was doing 100 kilometers an hour, they still wouldn't be able to reach me before I transit through the roundabout. Another roundabout coming up, if somebody's coming from the opposite direction, see there's a car, silver car is shielding my path, and I, took opportunity to go through without having to wait for anyone else. Knowing how to do something, to merge from two to one lane, or, to turn right at an unprotected traffic lights, where there's no green arrow. It's one thing to know how, but it's a completely different thing to intercept, to see where it's merging. Often people can nail the merging traffic, but they expect somebody to tell them, you have to merge up there. So that's not going to happen. The assessors are not instructors. They will not tell you, you got to merge up there, so be careful, you got to indicate now. No. You have to recognize that. Recognizing where you're merging versus knowing how to do it when somebody points it to you are two different things. And often people fail because they don't see where the merge is. See, we've got one up here, so we've got to indicate, mirror, and then as the line runs out, about one length of your vehicle before the line runs out, you check your blind spot. It's not important where they take you. It's important to recognize what's happening. If it's a stop sign, often people just don't see the stop sign, but they know how to do it. If you ask them, what do you do at the stop sign? They'd say, well, you've got to stop completely. And then it becomes give way after you've stopped. Well, that's correct, but do you see it? If you're standing for too long and you didn't recognize you have to proceed, if the assessor says you got to go, if the people start to flock up behind you, that's verbal assistance, so they're going to have to discontinue your driving assessment. Now we're going to have a no green arrow here, so when it drops, you got to creep in the middle. And now only if you can see, if you're 100% certain there's no one, or you can go before the traffic like I can now. That one's turning anyway, both of those vehicles. I'm going straight over to the far left lane. By the way, if you have a single turning lane, turning onto a multiple lane road, you can go straight over to the far left lane. You can go to the right lane as well, but keep in mind, right lanes in Australia are fast lanes. If you don't have any particular business in the right lane, it's best to keep in the left lane. If you were turning right shortly after you turn, well, it would make sense to end up in the right lane, because you wouldn't want to do double job. If the next turn is about 100 meters after, or a bit less, even if it's a little bit further, if it's a couple of 100 meters, 300 meters, that's okay. It's not a too long distance to travel. Now, do they mark you for staying in the right lane for longer than necessary? Currently, at the time of this recording, they don't mark you for it. But look, think about it. You will possibly aggravate somebody who's impatient behind you to get too close. So my advice is, and even when you get your license, just stay left. Now I'm changing lanes, checking my blind spot. That is necessary. I've got a video I'm going to put around this video, the link to it. A lot of people don't check blind spots properly, and I can tell you that it's scientifically proven beyond doubt that blind spots exist. If you are turning into already merged lane, because this is already one, in this situation you don't have to separately merge. If you came from that direction, from Flinders Street going straight, where two lanes merged into one, you would indicate and check the blind spot on the merge. Checking blind spot is very important even when you pass your driving assessment. I was traveling down to Rockingham a few days ago. I was cruising at about 100 kilometers an hour, and I got used to the view without seeing anyone within my peripheral vision in the mirrors. And as I was about to change lanes, when I looked over my shoulder, I said to my wife, I never knew the car was there. it was a big four-wheel drive. I was totally unaware that the vehicle was there, because if someone's been in your blind spot for like a minute, matching your speed, it's a good chance that you're not going to recognize they're there. Turning right here, now you have to judge if there's enough space to squeeze in the middle or not. This one does have a bit of a space. I'm going to get in there and I'm going after that vehicle as soon as it's gone. Okay, and doing my secondary check. If you turn in front of fast moving traffic, as soon as you turn, do the secondary mirror check and see what their progress is. See if they're catching up fast or they're at a reasonable distance. It's going to give you stress-free experience if you're a good mirror checker. When I say mirror checker, it's in your peripheral vision. A lot of times you see things in your peripheral vision, but when the things change, such as your speed or something grabs your attention, pay a closer look, just see what is going on. Often I speak to people who say, I'm petrified driving on the freeway, and when I have to merge and change lanes, after they commit to changing, to merging over, they're still not sure if someone was there too close or not. To ensure everyone's position, shortly after you started to merge, check the mirror. I'm turning left here. This is on the Mirror Booker driving test route. So if I'm turning left here and they ask me turn left and then first right, I'm going to go straight over to the right lane, because I know I'm going to be turning right very shortly after. Going straight over to the far right. The car from the opposite direction is a bit further, so I could beat him, but I'm still doing my secondary check. It gives me that peace of mind. I would never do it without checking the mirror again. It's my second nature. Please let me know if any of these tips helped. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.